I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight, all of our guests, and y'all, thank you for being here. And at this time, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer from Mr. Farrell Benson.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this day, another beautiful day. We don't take it lightly or for granted, Lord, and we praise you for it. Now, Lord, at this meeting time tonight, we just pray we have a lot of decisions to make, and we pray that we'll be wise and responsible in those decisions. Help us, Lord, to do the best we can. Pray also, Lord, it's been a pleasure serving on this board for a number of years. I know a lot of us are rolling off tonight, so there'll be a new board next month. And I want to pray now for that new board, Lord, that you'll help them as they decide who their leadership's going to be and how the direction of Tipton County Schools. And just pray that you give them wisdom, Lord, and guide them, help all distractions to just disappear, and help us to remember the most important thing is the kids of Tipton County. Lord, I pray that you'll continue to bless our schools, help us have an awesome year. And Lord, I ask you, please, please, God, bless America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Alderson, second by Mr. Davidson. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Do we have any additions? Would anyone like to remove any item from the consent agenda for discussion?
I'll remove item C.
Okay. With the exception of item C, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? A motion by Ms. Eubanks, second by Mr. Kurt. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passed. Okay?
It's for AP Human Geography class, and it's a textbook that's not on the approved list, but I just rather open it up for discussion and get it, just a clear understanding of why we're having to choose this book.
Go ahead.
You want me to take it?
Yeah, and it came from Dr. Fee at Mumford High. It's the very AP class, and she asked us about it, but
And this is a
We
new
thought it'd
course
be-
we're offering.
correct, we thought it'd be good to bring it up to y'all before we just approve something that's not on the list.
Right.
So, yep,
So, there is not a list for AP, there's not an approved textbook, period, for AP Human Geography. And so I've done some research, and so Tennessee Book Company, which is the place where we purchase the books that have been, through the State Department, that have been approved, that we adopt. I talked to the lady there who's been there several years, don't know how long, and said, tell me about, the process of this particular book. And so the book was approved in the prior social studies adoption. It's on the state approved list by the state commission, or the state textbook commission. And so the next time social studies rolled around, the state has stopped reviewing all AP books. It is a college level course, so there's not an option. Dr. Fee is adding the class, something to offer for her students, and ask about this book. But before we purchased it, we wanted the board to review it. But there's not an option for a state-approved list for AP Human Geography.
So it was on the
Just-
approved list before,
Yes, sir.
okay, and
Yes.
it wasn't taken off.
No, sir.
It's just a new edition came out, we're just now offering it. The new adoption process didn't include it because they're not doing AP.
They no longer review a advanced placement course, but because it's considered a college level course, just like they don't do dual enrollment and things like that. So that's the short explanation.
and you have to have
I
parent
guess
consent.
that's all the explanation I have.
You have to have parent consent to take the
Yeah,
class. right?
parents sign for it because there's a fee to take the AP exam at the end, so parents are aware of the fact that their students are taking a college level course.
How many students?
At last conversation I had with Dr. Fee, I believe she said 22. If I'm mistaken, please forgive me, but I almost know she said 22. Because she asked for 25 books.
So can you explain just in general what the book is, what's being taught in the book?
So the course itself, and I don't know if I bought the course description with me. AP Human Geography, and this is just a brief course description, is a cultural landscape, which is the title of the book, is a term used to describe a place's cultural attributes, which are often caused by human activity and can be seen in the physical landscape. These attributes can include land use patterns, agriculture patterns, industrial practices, architecture, religious breakdown, languages used. I don't necessarily know that it's trying to, convince students one way or the other, rather than just inform them that these are, things that have happened. I do want to point out too, that you remember when people refer to the law as the CRT law, but it's actually called Prohibited Concepts in Instruction. When that became law a few years ago, all of our teachers have been trained on what they can and cannot teach. And so if in any textbook, not just the one that's in question tonight, but if there's anything in a book that a teacher recognizes that this may be questionable, then that they know that they can't teach it, because it's against the law, right? And there are consequences for us as a district if we are found to be in violation of that. The first one of which is $1 million fine. So I do want to let the board know that our teachers have all been trained. The very first year it came out, Dr. Combs, myself, and Mr. Fields went to every school and met with every faculty, and part of our presentation was on that law, and we trained them. And so just to remind the board of that, I'm sure you remember us doing that 2 or 3 years ago, but again, as a reminder.
I will say this, especially because of that, when it was brought up, I mean, I don't think there was any bad intention in bringing it up, but obviously, we're not gonna sign off on that without, because it's not on that list, we're not gonna sign off on it without y'all saying, yeah, this would be fine. And even if that means, when you even get copies of it to review, we're fine. I mean, we'll just say, you have to wait to use it until we get it. Again, it's an AP level class, 22 kids are taking it, it's a college class, parents have to consent to take it. But again, I'm not putting my name on it unless y'all, see it. From what I've seen so far, I don't see a whole lot wrong with it, but I also can't say I've read it cover to cover either. So I'm not putting my signature on it until, that's why I'm bringing it to y'all.
I didn't read it cover to cover, but I downloaded the book, I got it for free. And I've looked through it, I mean, there's things on there, because it is a college course, and we live in a crazy world, and it's kind of like you can't protect kids from everything, because they have access to stuff anyway. But the author, I researched him, and his work doesn't like overly promote or push to any political ideology, left or right. And so it says his primary goal was to educate students with just the concepts of human geography rather than a promotion of a certain political agenda. So I feel comfortable with it. It's 22 students, but I think if you guys research and look at some of the topics, it is a current where we are today in our world.
And with parental consent, so that changes it.
Do we have a motion to approve this AP book, geography?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Benson, second by Ms. Eubanks. Any questions now? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Dr. Combs?
Okay, I want to follow up on the question that Mr. Jenkins asked at the July board meeting. Right? This is August, yes, July board meeting. As per your request, I've done some research regarding what some other districts are doing as far as offering sick days to their bus drivers. That was what came up, and I said that we would look at that a little bit further. So I did a little research on that. And I'll say this later, and for cafeteria, some of those, we talked about that as well. Yes, sir. So here's what I know thus far. Collierville outsources their buses and their drivers. Lakeland outsources their buses and their drivers. Bartlett outsources both. Arlington outsources both. Germantown outsources both. Millington outsources both. Chester County outsources both. Lexington City does not provide buses. They're very small, don't have a lot of folks there, so they mainly do the driver or the car rider thing there. McNairy County, sick days are provided to their bus drivers, but they do not provide insurance to them. Fayette County, sick days and insurance are provided to full-time drivers. So it depends on the number of hours that they accumulate. And then Jackson, Madison's the same way. Sick days and insurance are provided to full-time drivers. And just for those in the audience and those online, and for those, I think all of you know, but we provide insurance but not sick days to our bus drivers. And it's, part of their hours, which, Billy can tell you about that a little bit too. But for your consideration, our drivers do not work the same number of hours that our full-time employees do, like our teachers. Depending on the length of their routes, their hours will vary. Currently, if a bus driver is off, we use that driver's salary to cover the sub driver, right? So it's basically a wash in the budget. So my suggestion to the board, and obviously y'all need to give me guidance on this, is that you decide if you would want me to pursue this request further, and I can get with Billy to come up with an exact financial impact that it would be to the budget and give you an exact number. And if so, we also need to consider some of the other employees as well, just like you mentioned earlier, who may fall in a similar situation. But I would need your guidance on that. And we can come up with a number, give you a better number as far as what that looks like. Bus drivers do not work the same number of hours, obviously, that a teacher would work. So it may be that, it's a number of those that we offer or we look at or we see what kind of impact it would be to the budget, and then we can certainly visit that. Yes, sir.
When you say most of our bus drivers, that income is a supplemental income for them.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Yes, sir. I mean, honestly, I would say, and Billy, tell me if I misstep here, but we have quite a few bus drivers who do it simply for the insurance. They have another, we have Phil Ramsey, Jeff Phillips, our youth minister down there. We have a number of folks that, yes, this is kind of their side gig, but it's also pays their insurance.
Yep.
So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which is a pretty big benefit.
It is a great benefit because we have really good insurance.
Well,
Yes,
in
sir.
comparison to some of them didn't have insurance being offered, so that sick
Correct.
day is not insurance.
That's right. That's right. And we could look at that. But yeah,
How
again,
many drivers do we have?
Jackson Madison is comparable to our size. We're about the same size. They offer both, and we could do more digging and see exactly how many that would be. If they don't, most of these aren't gonna give like the same, like 10 that our teachers would get, but they may have another number in there a little closer to what their hours would be.
So could Billy run a forecast maybe of, what if we talk about 1 hour for every 30 hours they work, they get a sick day?
And I believe that's actually, I think that's what Fayette County does. Something similar to that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
How
And
many
we can look at
drivers
those.
do we have
And
approximately?
so a couple of things, there's 125 positions for bus drivers. One thing to note for the board, if we decide, we have to post leave balances as a liability on the balance sheet. GASB 101, which is about to go into effect, is optional this year, it's gonna be mandatory next year. Any property leave, such as annual leave, vacation, is already on the balance sheet, but they're gonna start posting sick leave, because as you all know, sick leave unused sick leave at retirement counts towards your retirement. So they give you credit at retirement for the sick leave you didn't use. So it is a dollar value benefit. So it's gonna be on the balance sheet. That's something else we'll have to take into account. But I can certainly do that. You said 1 hour for every what?
30 hours work. I mean, you're not gonna be sick unless you're like a sickly person, so if you work a week, you're getting an hour.
So bus drivers' contracts are 180 days a year, and they work 1,080 hours a year. It's typically 10-month contract.
And the teachers.
So you can figure that, I'm sorry.
1,500 teachers.
Teachers 1,500 hours a year, they're 200-day contract, so 1,080 by 30 is your figure of what the sick leave would be.
That might be too much.
Maybe too much. Yeah, I'm just throwing out a number.
Would the board like?
Yeah, that's 36 hours.
One concern I would have was our transportation cost per student is already a lot higher than most counties.
Well,
So that would be adding.
one of the things to note this year, we budgeted, of course, things change in annual enrollment, 1.1 million is the health cost insurance, medical cost insurance in the transportation budget. Just a little over 1.1 million, that's not the penny, but it's 1.1 something,
Just an insurance for bus drivers.
medical insurance, yes.
So you could almost say just 5 days a year is all you get sick leave.
Would the board like for Dr. Combs to pursue this further with some more information for y'all next month or
Yes.
later?
We get you some actual hard numbers and present them at the next
Okay.
meeting, if you'd like to see that, so you can see the impact. And we don't wanna, if it's something we can offer and we have the ability to do that, I certainly don't have a problem with it, but you also need to see what the fiscal note looks like, what it will do in the budget.
Yeah.
I like putting stuff out the next month.
There you go, yeah. All right,
All right, Dr. Combs.
yes, sir, sorry, yeah.
Our cafeteria work, they're also in that same category with the bus drivers.
That's what I was telling
Yeah, they
Jason.
just want the ability to get insurance.
Correct, and some of them do.
Some of them
Some
do.
of them do part-time, yeah, because I think Sabrina added that this year.
So you have 6-hour cafeteria worker positions, which are full-time, so it's 30 hours or more a week, and then you have part-time, some work 4 hours, so some don't come in so early to cook breakfast, and some do, and so you have full and part-time positions. But I can get those numbers for you as well.
Okay, all right.
Sound okay? That's my direction, some hard numbers for next week, okay, got it. And then I'd also like to request, from this group that, you allow Mr. McCann, you know, the majority of the capital, projects, questions, and, have come from Mr. Matt, and you know how much I love capital projects, so, we've appreciated that. So I'd like to ask the group to allow Mr. McCann to kind of be my liaison, on the board for some capital projects we have coming up, and like in some meetings we have coming up. But I wanted to ask that of the group and make sure that you're fine with that. You know, he's expressed a keen interest in making sure we update our campuses and buildings, and with your permission and his, of course, I'd like to be able to include him in some of my meetings with builders, et cetera, with me and Hunter, if the group is open, you know, for me being able to do that.
I guess we could do a motion.
Sure, yes, sir.
Do we have a
If you'd
motion
like.
to allow, all right, we have a motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Ms. Eubanks, any discussion?
Matt, did you want to do?
Yes, I'll do it.
Okay.
He already-
Sorry, he was,
Yeah,
my bad. He was nodding his head, so I thought that, okay, all right, good, all right.
You are the right man.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, so, and then, lastly, in my report, I'd like to yield the rest of my time to our construction management team, Lincoln's Construction. They are here, and they're gonna be able to give us give you a little bit of an update on where we are with the new build. And I appreciate y'all being here tonight, Mr. Rusty. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, and thank you, Board, for allowing me to come and give you an update. I've got Perry Miller here, our Director of Operations, and Mr. John Atkin is our consultant that works on the team. He's a former superintendent of Carterville Schools. Let me start by saying that it's an honor to work for Tipton County Schools and build this project. We're really excited about it. As all of y'all know, we went through an RFP process in March. We brought on, I think, early April. The plans were scheduled to be complete the first week of July, which they were. The reason that we were brought on early is that wasn't gonna work to hit fall of '25. And so, the school, the design team decided they needed to release early packages to get started before the plans were complete. So, we were selected, we bid the early site package, publicly, everything's publicly bid, sealed envelopes, opened in this office. So they see the bid same time we do. We identified the low dirt contractor. He went out the first day when he mobilized. About a week later, first piece of equipment he had, sank in the ground. So we immediately called the geotech engineer and A2H and the ownership group, and we said, you know, we've got some wet soils, we don't know the extent of it, we need to dig test pits. So we dug multiple test pits on this building footprint, did test pits at about 3.5 feet, and hand probed all of them, and the probe just sank like it was in butter. So we understood immediately we had a soil problem. We got together again with the geotech engineer, our design team, the owner. Together we came up with what we feel was the best mitigation effort, and that is geopiers, which are cylindrical piers. In this case, the average is about 16 feet deep. They're aggregate piers that go down, and we have now finished that process. We've got 3,400 of these in the building footprint. What it does in wet soils, you drill these down and it tightens the soil. It compresses everything. And so it allows you to build a building on it, to then move into your foundation process, pour your footings. We started that today. So that's where we are. We open bid, like I said, we got the finished drawings, first week of July. Tomorrow, we open bids on the entire project. So in this office, we should have a GMP. I mean, everybody will notate low bidder, but of course you gotta analyze, make sure that they have everything covered. We will come back with a GMP 1 week later. So we'll have all that put together. The good thing is that isn't slowing us down because, you know, we have the early site, package, underground package, utilities, so we're continuing working. We're not stopping during this process. So that's the update I have for now, but if you guys have any questions or anybody else, I'm happy to answer them.
Can I ask one, Mr.
Yeah.
Rusty, for you or John or Barry, anybody's got? So, you know, I've had people ask me, and even on the front end, you know, when we were looking at this, ask me about general contracting as well, right? You know, CMAR is this process, general contracting is one. Where, in your opinion, would we be right now if we had gone general contracting route?
Well, again, because the schedule was always, A2H has hit their dates, but the schedule is always July 8th, 9th.
It's the second week of July.
Okay, so it's gonna take a month to bid those plans. If you bid this between 4 general contractors, you'd be getting a price around tomorrow, so about the same time. Once you probably negotiate that contract in a public situation like that, that could take 3 to 5 weeks. Then they'd mobilize and get on site, so they'd probably get on site mid-September. They'd find out what we found out the first week of May. So if you do the math, I mean, they'd lose at least 4 months in their construction schedule, in duration. They'd be 4 months behind where we are.
What is this, new addition to the foundation? What does that add to the bottom line, basically?
$377,000. And what it does, it's an insurance policy. It assures you that your footings in your structure that is built, first of all, the structure that's required today by code is much heavier than it was years and years ago. And so nobody that was involved in this process for a minute thought that it was a good idea not to improve the soil somewhat. You know, either you do piers, there's other mitigation efforts, I'm happy to go into that with you, but piers is what was decided, and it gives you that assurance that you're building on a solid foundation.
Is that kind of similar to what they do in some of these hospital deals?
You do it on
Something like that.
on any building that has bad soils. I mean, we encounter it a lot. There's a lot of bad soils around this area. And what you have, just to give you a little more information, at 12 feet, you have a clay level. You have a clay line that is solid. Water won't go through it. So you have trapped water. You've got an underground lake there. It won't go through the clay. And so it's just accumulated and it stays there.
I think you answered this when you talked about the weight of the new build based on code and, you know, more steel and all that kind of stuff's gonna be in it. But, you know, if someone were to say, well, I mean, the old buildings were there and they were okay, so what's the deal with finding water there? What would you say?
Well, I can't directly speak to the soil conditions when those buildings were built. But I can just tell you that when a contractor sees that, we don't just, we bring out, again, so we can cover our opinions, and
Right.
we bring out the geotech engineer, the structural engineer who's got to design the footings and the structure that are the bones of your building. That's the skeleton of your building. And everything starts with those footings. If they're not built on a solid foundation, your building's gonna fail at some point. It's gonna settle, it's gonna fail.
Gotcha.
Anybody have any questions? Well, it's looking good out there.
Well, you're gonna start, now that we
Right.
started foundations today. Today was a big day. We thought we were gonna start in the first week of May, but again, we found the water issue. Now you're gonna start seeing concrete, you're gonna start seeing block. You're gonna drive by and you're gonna see it going
That's
vertical.
good. That's great. That's
It's
what we want to see. Yeah.
And the goal is to get it under roof so we can start
Yeah.
rolling, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So weather doesn't affect us, so.
We appreciate you being here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Bird, Director of Instruction.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I have a couple more questions for Dr. Combs.
Okay.
He was up there, if you don't mind.
All right.
What's the status of the insurance negotiations? Are there any, or is it done? Have we reached the final settlement? What's up?
Let me answer the middle one first. No, sir, it is not done. They're basically, what they presented to you back in February, when they gave you that $43 million number, that's about where they are right now. They've gone up to about 44 million. That's about where we are. Obviously, insurance wants to see the GMP and wants to know what that's gonna look like. So, after bids tomorrow, all that's done, and then we get that GMP, about a week later, so mid-August. That's gonna help insurance give us probably, what's gonna be close to their final number. But our attorney is, monitoring this with me right now. And, if I'm not mistaken, he plans to be here at the September meeting to give us an update on where that is.
Okay.
And what was the first, I think I hit the middle one. What was your very first question? Was that the same one?
Yes, are we
Okay,
still
okay.
negotiating?
Yes,
what's the
sir.
status and so forth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my other question was, I talked to a real reliable guy a week or so ago about the air conditioning problem in the Brighton High gym.
Yes,
And apparently
they both went out.
it's not been resolved.
Well, Hunter,
Yes,
air conditioners at Brighton High Gym.
so they failed over the summer. One of the compressors that was on the last leg apparently shorted out or burned out of ground, double ground or something. So we've got 2 new units that are supposedly in Memphis and we're gonna hopefully have them installed within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then we have some portable units or something that you were gonna put in
Well,
there
we
in the
got,
meantime if they
we
need
got
it.
some portable ones that will come in. I think that we'll put them in there for efforts. But we're gonna need those too. We're gonna need the rooftop units that are coming in a
And
couple weeks.
Cost? Did you say that?
The cost for those 2 units was 112,
Sounds about right.
106, 106.
What was the age of the units that fell? Were they original to the building?
No, yes.
1996.
Yeah. Original.
Have we had to reschedule sporting events, or are they still going on in the gym, or? what's the deal?
Yes and no. So they're also using the middle school gym. So they're, Principal Croson was talking to us about some schedule, and he's kind of working with Principal Willie, and they're using that gym as well. And then we have the portable units to help.
Sounds good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Bird.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, first of all, tonight, I know that you're probably wondering, do we have open positions in the schools? Yes, we do. We have 4 teaching positions and 2 speech pathologists that we are still working to hire. Summer school enrollment, I told you last month, that I'd give you a number this month. We had 998 students in summer school, in summer learning camps and credit recovery this summer, 998. 3rd grade retention update, again, that's something last month I told you I'd talk about tonight. So in your online folder, I've shared the pathways to promotion information, and that is a chart from the Tennessee Department of Education that shows if a student is not proficient on the 3rd grade reading test, what that looks like. What is their pathway to promotion to 4th grade? And the ones that were promoted last year to 4th grade, if they didn't meet their goal, what that looks like. So there's a graphic on there for you to follow. It is a little confusing. If you have questions, I'm happy to try to explain it to you after. I don't know that this open meeting is probably the format for that. It's quite boring, but anyway, if you have questions about that, I'm happy to entertain those. So we have students who were not considered proficient on TCAP, but were promoted to 4th grade as a result of the appeals process, which is, again, is explained in that document, or they went to summer school and did successful summer school completion, or they are signed up for mandatory 4th grade tutoring. Those are the pathways to promotion. So after all of that, the appeals, the tutoring, etc., our final count for 3rd grade retention based on this legislation is 8. So 8 students being retained in 3rd grade. Also, in your online folders, I provided a copy of the high school fees for this year. That's something that you all approve every spring that we put before you, but there is one change. Covington High School asked for a revision in a $15 science fee. So, Mr. Chair, I would ask for a motion to approve that revised high school fees
Okay.
list.
Do we have a motion by Mr. McCann, a second by Mr. Kirk, any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you. Also, this month, we start our policy review again. That's something we will start annually in August. So tonight is section 1 of the policy manual, and that's board operations, which is what you all do. So are there any policies that someone would like to bring up for discussion tonight?
I have about 20 items, Rebecca.
Yeah, right, just kidding.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Going out with the bang. Oh,
We'll see
goodness.
you later.
I'm gonna miss that. No, you're not. I'm sure he'll be calling me. I'm kidding, you know I love you. Okay, so, next month, we will look at section 2, fiscal management, so I know that some of our new board members are, in attendance tonight, so that will be, the section that we'll look at next month. So if you have something in the coming days that you would like for me to pull for discussion, please let me know, I can prepare that in advance. The last thing I have is Melissa Chipman is going to do her compliance training for you all on the internet safety measures. And that, when she's finished, that will conclude my report. So do you want me to take questions now or when she's finished? It's up to you.
When she's finished.
When she's finished.
No, you can take them now.
Either way, I
Yeah.
don't, it
Yeah,
doesn't
go ahead,
bother
take
me.
it.
I know Mr. Benson probably has at least one.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm
Take your
kidding, I'm
question.
kidding. Anybody have questions?
Thanks for all you do.
I appreciate it.
That's it, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Chipman.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Dr. Combs, thanks for having me tonight. Of course, this is our annual discussion of our internet safety measures, policy 4.406. So, that one states that the board supports the right of staff and students to have reasonable access to various information formats and believes that it incumbent upon staff and students to use this privilege in an appropriate and responsible manner. Well, we have to try to help them use it in a appropriate and responsible manner, so that with that privilege comes the responsibility for our district to protect our students. And how do we do this? We do this by having all students and staff sign a technology device, that use our technology devices to sign an acceptable use policy, which outlines the do's and don'ts, the procedures of using it, some rules and things like that. We also provide them with a technology handbook for both teachers that is separate from the students. It's a little bit larger than the student one, and the students. During the registration process, the parents sign that they have gone over the student technology handbook with their students, which outlines a lot of, the correct way to use it and so forth. We also provide on our website a section that covers the Children's Internet Protection Act, or CIPA, as you'll hear us and technology say a lot of, because that being CIPA compliant has a lot to do with some of our funding that we get via E-rate. So we definitely make sure that we dot our I's here with the CIPA compliancy. So we have information on our website, have it in the student technology handbook and everything. The digital ways that we take care of our students and protect them is we have Zayo, which is formerly ENA, and they filter all our traffic on our network. We use Content Keeper to filter the sites that the students go to. We have Aristotle K-12 for the teachers to use, which is which monitors usage, tracks sites they visit. It helps us find devices that are lost, and it even goes so far as we can find every keystroke that a student makes on the device that they're using. It covers the device when they're not on our network as well, because when they log in using their Google account, it loads that out there for them. The teachers can monitor the students and everything they're doing. They can pull up exactly what's on their computer. They can bump them off of sites that they don't need to be on. They can lock them down to one single site. They can do classroom management there without having to walk around and see everything that the students are doing. So we use that. We also make sure that the students can only send and receive email within the Tipton County domain. For our high school students, we do open up some of the college domains so that they can email out, for college applications and information and things like that. But for the lower grades, they only can email tipton-county.com domain. They can't even email each other because they're in their own little domain, students at tipton-county.com. So they can't email each other, but they can email their teachers and administration. We also require our teachers to do a minimum of one lesson on internet safety. So that covers our SIPA compliance as teaching the students how to use the devices as well. They have to do a lesson plan and teach at least one lesson. During the teacher compliance training, I suggested them that they do it twice a year. They do one in the fall, they do one in the spring, well, they do one in August, they do one in January. That way they cover students who may come into the district after registration or after Christmas break. So we do suggest that. We even have, on our website, we have lessons that they can use because not everybody is a computer teacher. So we have gone to sites suggested by, that are suggested through the SIPA program that have lesson plans and PowerPoint. So a teacher that knows absolutely nothing about computers can stand there and teach a computer lesson to their students on how to be safe on the internet. So we do that for the teachers as well. But this in a nutshell is what we do to try to protect our students using their technology. Anybody have any questions about this or anything else technology?
Nobody had any questions about it? Thank you, Ms. Chipley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. James Fields, Director of Operations.
Good afternoon. Well, it's the beginning of the year, so I don't have very much to report, but I am very impressed with transportation. Usually, the first couple of days of school, I probably get 20, 25 calls. We didn't get not at the central office or the transportation department, we didn't get a single call. So they were very well prepared. And at this time, we're only like one bus driver short, according to Charlie. Nutrition went well yesterday. We served about 5,500 meals. The month of June and July, we served over 47,000 meals. So I give a shout out to Ms. Sabrina and her workers. Project Succeed will start after Labor Day, like it usually does. I would like to thank Sherry Yarbrough for providing water for all our schools. We pass out a bottle of water to every student riding the bus when the heat index is above 103. I'd also like to congratulate Shelley Goff, principal at DES, and Dr. Brian Norton, our high school supervisor, for making finalists for Principal and Supervisor of the Year for the state of Tennessee. Just a reminder, Thursday, 8/22, Covenant High School will host Brighton High School. Please come out and support. At this time, we're at 90 out-of-district students. And the last thing I would like to say for the members, board members going out, it has been a real pleasure working with you, and you definitely will be missed.
Thank you, Mr. Fields.
Any questions?
Thank you very much.
What's the current enrollment?
Well, it's hard to tell until after the first 20 days,
Okay.
but Mr. Macklin said we're on track to be right above 10,000.
Hey, James,
Sorry.
so supervisors and mechanics aren't having to drive buses and stuff now that you're aware of?
That I'm aware of.
Okay. We've come a long way.
Not yesterday.
Right? We've come a long way from
We
where we were.
came, yes, quite a long way.
We still use them, I think they sub-drive a little bit, right? Don't they? Like the mechanics will have to use them to sub every once in a while?
Well, doesn't any mechanic have a route? But yeah, maybe for subs
Okay.
or an emergency or a breakdown.
Okay, James, I got one more question for you.
All right.
This is my last one for you.
All right.
Who worked harder this week, you or Dr. Combs?
Me.
Oh.
Hands down.
Because you're right.
Personal opinion. Financial report, Mr. Billy Daugherty.
He probably works smarter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All right, time for the financial report here. If you'll take a look there in your packet, got a few items to go over with you this evening. I do want to report to you that the Tipton County Legislative Body passed the fiscal year 24-25 annual budget at their meeting on Monday, July the 22nd, 2024. So get ready, we'll be back starting next month with budget amendments for all the grants and the carryover funds that we do every year about that time. As soon as the budget passes, we come back in with all that grant funding that comes back through. So get ready for that. And so I want to also tonight review our ongoing goal of the online school payments, which you see in your folder there. I posted the packet again as we've been going over this for the past several weeks, couple months. We're going to be trying to implement that soon. Mr. Chairman, request a motion tonight that the board approve Dr. Combs and/or his designee to finalize the negotiations with the vendor and to execute the contract.
Okay.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Vincent, second by Ms. McClurkin. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you. And for the board's knowledge, since it's been approved, we're going to try to schedule a training for August the 22nd for those people that will be touching the online school training program. Online payment program. All right, next, Mr.
Really,
Chair.
that's just gonna be bookkeepers, right?
Well, you have some teachers or cashiers, that may be helping take up cash that would have to have access principals, obviously, because they're responsible for those internal school funds. Yes. All right, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Melanie Johnson, the principal of Brighton Elementary School, has requested permission from the board to open a new internal school bank account. Currently, they bank with Brighton Bank. Lots of trouble, we've had another school change banks recently, and so they're requesting to eventually close the Brighton Bank account, but that, also for the permission, the board grant the necessary signers to proceed with opening and closing these two accounts, closing Brighton Bank, opening in South account.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Jenkins, second by Ms. McClurkin. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, next item of business is the approval of the fiscal year 2025 school support organizations, AKA SSOs. I'm going to read the list of people who have submitted their paperwork by the August 1st deadline that's been found to be in compliance. Those are the following: the Brighton Elementary School PTO, the Brighton High School Football Cardinal Crew Football Club, the Brighton Middle School Football Boosters, the Brighton Choir Boosters, the Charger Academy Arts Booster, the Covington High School Ace Club, the Covington High School Gridiron Association, the Covington High School Round Ball Club, the CIAA PTO, Mumford High School's FFA Alumni Association, Mumford High School's Band Boosters, Mumford High School Home Run Booster Club, Mumford High School Touchdown Club, and the Mumford Middle School Motivators. Mr. Chairman, I ask that a motion be approved, tonight to allow them to be operated as school support organizations in fiscal year 25.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Curtis, second by Mr. McCann. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right. Ms. Sabrina could not be here tonight, so she's asked me on her behalf to present to you and ask the board to make a motion allowing the appropriate employees to sign the renewal agreement between the School Food Authority and the Tennessee Department of Education to administer the school nutrition program for the fiscal year 24-25 school year. These include the school breakfast program, the national lunch program, the seamless summer option, after-school snack program, and the special meal program.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Mr. McClurkin. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right. Next, I'd like to remind everybody about our new vendor for identity theft and fraud protection. Help us get the word out. I put the self-enrollment instructions back in your packet again this month in case you're asked, but still not back where I thought we would be with enrollment. So if you help us get the word out, we're trying to do that. And fairly simple process. The last thing I'll bring to your attention are the financial reports that are included in your packets tonight for your review for funds 141, General Purpose School Fund, 142, School Federal Projects Fund, 143, Central Cafeteria Fund, and the 177, Capital Projects Fund. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report, unless there be any questions.
Mr. Jenkins?
What do we, on our rate this year for our county employees, what do we come to agreement at?
So you all passed the budget with a 4% across the board raise, and that was ratified by the county commission at their 22nd meeting.
I was told they give a 6% out.
They did. The county, Tipton County, or County of Tipton, they gave a 6% pay raise. The school board gave a 4%. Of course, ours in TISA, the forms that you all saw, they told us how much money we had to give raises. And so with that amount of money, we were able to give 4%.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Daugherty.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Again, it's been my pleasure working with those that will be rolling off the board. Thank you for your service to the citizens of Tipton County and the children of our school system.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Other business, Mr. Amos Farrell has a matter of business he wants.
This is something I just wanted to kind of bring up to the board, especially going forward. Two of the teachers in my district I talked to in the last several months have expressed concern about not having bereavement pay. They have their 10 days, but they don't have bereavement pay. One lady just lost her mother several months ago, and she said, I was fortunate, I still had paid days off. But what her concern was is one of the ones that don't have the paid days off, you know. And I'm thinking that would be a good issue to bring up and to put in to be an incentive to our teachers to stay in our district. Anything we can do to give them benefits, I think would make a good gesture in that. Of course, the 4% is great, but if we can give a little something like that, you know, most businesses have at least 3 days bereavement pay for your immediate family. And I think that would say a lot for our teachers if we could do that for them too.
Anybody else have anything? Dr. Collins?
Yes, sir. And before I say this, we'll look into that. And I'll have similar to what we did with the buses, I'll have a report for y'all at the next meeting. Or listen online or wherever you are. Okay, all right. Okay, so in his second letter to Timothy, Paul shared a sentiment that I'm sure we're all familiar with. And even though he's specifically talking about fulfilling his ministry in this context, I do think the same sentiment would apply to you as public servants. 2 Timothy 4:7 says, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith. So as a member of this board, you have certainly endured. Sometimes people were overjoyed with your decisions, and sometimes they were not. Regardless, you persevered to do what you thought was best, and during your tenure, you did a number of things. Allocated millions to employee raises and bonuses, improved safety on all of our campuses by approving school resource officer funding, camera system installation upgrades, single entry buzz-in systems, new exterior doors, Matterport 3D building scans for law enforcement and SWAT responder use. Implemented live streaming and digital archiving of board meetings, which had not been done before. Funded the one-to-one initiative that provided a technology device to every student and teacher that Melissa spoke about earlier. Dedicated more than $25 million in ongoing capital projects. New roofs, HVAC systems, LED lighting, bathroom renovations, athletic facilities, and more. Brighton High School likes their new bathrooms, by the way. Did you see the picture? Our own Miss Loretta was in there with them, I believe. Established middle college for high school juniors and seniors, for which our first cohort graduated last year with both a high school diploma and an associate's degree. Increased CTE and fine arts funding, provided of your time to create endless possibilities for our kids. And I could keep going on and on. So I want to remind you again, your long-standing commitment to education and selfless service have left an indelible mark on the Tipton County school system. Thank you for your tireless dedication and best wishes in your next adventure. I would love for everyone to be able to give our 5 folks that are rolling off a hand for what they've done.
Can we take a love offering?
That's a different meeting. So, I do have this. So, at this time, we would like to honor each of you with a token to remember your time as a board member. You know, I think, Mr. Vincent, what'd you get when you retired from the school system?
What do you want to get?
What'd you get?
Piece of cake.
Not just a warm, fuzzy feeling. You got a clock.
I got a clock?
Yeah, that you look at every day.
I do.
Do you really?
It's in my office.
Man, that's weird. I don't want a clock. So we were thinking, look, what can we get y'all? What can we have done that you can see, hang wherever you want it? It'd be kind of cool. And so we had some metal signs made that we thought were really neat. Mr. Neil Bringle help me with the name of the company,
Simply Steel.
Simply Steel did these for us. So, I want to start with, Ms. Laura McClurkin, 8 years, 2016, 2024. Thank you for your service. Come on up here and get this. We know you're eclectic tech, you'll put that in the house. I know you will.
Absolutely.
Secondly, my friend and mentor, Mr. Isaiah Davidson, 8 years, 2016 to 2023. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Next, we have Mr. Alvis Farrell, 14 years, 2010 to 2024. And my colleague in the teaching world, when he came down here and gave me a hard time as principal, Mr. Farrell Vincent, 12 years, 2012.
Use this as a template to spray paint on all the
Do it.
schools.
Not on the buses. And finally, so, the relationship between the chairman and the superintendent, we make up that executive committee, right? So there are a lot of times, and I'll tell you this, Mr. Marty was great about, number one, knowing when, Combs wants to go hide in a hole somewhere, with everything going on between floods and tornadoes and everything else. It's been an exciting time. But that man right there would check on me every week. Every week he'd call and check on me and say, what can I do? What's going on? What do you need? Not like, you're an idiot, why'd you do that, right? It was more like he was checking on me. I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
I appreciate
I've
that.
enjoyed it, every minute of it. It's been some hard times, but hey,
No doubt.
we made it through it.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So Mr. Marty Burleson, 27 years, 1985 to 2004, and 2012 to 2024.
31.
All those.
31.
We'll add those on there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And hey, what I'd like, if y'all don't mind, that's better than a clock, right?
Yes, better. I got a clock.
I like it better
There you
than
go.
a
Back in there.
That's better than a clock.
So we never missed a meeting. You know that?
Never
In all
missed a
those
meeting.
years, I don't think you ever missed a
12
meeting.
years.
Yes.
I've been vice chairman for 8 years, he ain't let me have a
He was probably worried I'd do something dumb, so he had to make sure I was
Keep an eye
here.
on Dr. Combs.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
both of us, brother.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
So, I just wanted to end with that, and, it has been a pleasure, y'all, thank you very much. If you would, for the 5 of you that are rolling off, we'd love to get a picture at the end so that we can put something on social media. Thank you very much, that's all I have, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Dr. Combs, can I
All
have
right.
a ceremony throw this out the window?
No, leave those laptops, we need those, we're gonna use those, for next group coming in,
Does
absolutely.
anyone else have anything they'd like to add or say?
I'm gonna miss y'all terribly.
Thank you, Ms.
Luckily,
Eubanks.
there's
Thank you very
Felicia's
much.
coming on board. I won't be the only girl, so.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Truly exciting 12 years. I've enjoyed it. Everybody on staff has been very, very kind, very courteous, very helpful to me, so.
Right.
Thank you so much. I'm sure y'all are gonna do great.
And I'm gonna miss it too. I've enjoyed my time serving.
Thank you.
I just like to say the staff here, the climate is very positive. And, schools, staff, very positive reflection of the leader. Every time I come in, I get, wonderful treatment. And, that's a plus for you,
Thank you.
the climate. We all can think of places that we went to and we wouldn't wanna go back because of the negative vibe. But when you walk into the Board of Education, you get a positive vibe, it's a positive climate. And you enjoy visiting and you tell your friends, that's a good place to work. That's why we are one of the top working places in the state because of studentship. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd say it's been an honor and a privilege to do this too.
Thank you.
It's it's been an honor, and I've enjoyed working with all of you, and I have a few words to say about our new common board, that just work together, work with each other, make sound decisions, trust your superintendent. At the end of the day, it's all about these kids. It's about these children. And put politics aside, put partisan politics aside, and let's get these kids, keep these kids going the way they're going. They're doing great, and let's keep it going. Thank you, and God bless everybody. Do we have much to adjourn? We stand adjourned.